This roof's getting installed with our premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Good Wednesday evening and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm meteorologist Gabe and we are tracking a calm forecast across the region, but a cold one at that. And that continues to be our headline heading into our Wednesday night and Thursday morning, keeping those cold temperatures around once again. But that's not our only headline. We're also tracking a rainier forecast, pushing into that forecast as well. So enjoy the dry weather while it's here, because heading into our Thursday, rain chances going to have impacts, and some of those impacts coming with our parades tomorrow evening. So if you have any that are set in store, I know that Baldwin has officially moved theirs to another date, and a few other locations we expect to follow suit. But heading into this weekend, we do have drier weather, mostly dry conditions, and that'll make way for some better state championship games. But state championships, they start Thursday night. And so folks that are heading down to Davis-Wade may need to have that rain gear packed as well. Curious to see what they'll do, because this isn't going to be a lightning delay. It just might make for a muddy playing surface as you get down there in Starkville. So we'll track that here in just a moment, but let's go ahead and get into the first 12. And you can see those final hours of dry will be our forecast into those late evening and overnight hours. 36 degrees by 6, at freezing by 9, and there will sit into those overnight hours. The big driver in that consistency going to be that moisture kicking in by 3 a.m. out there in southwest portions of our viewing area there in the Delta. But with that moisture pushing in, doesn't allow for any more cooling to take place. So expect those temperatures to drop to freezing and remain around freezing, even heading out the door for our Thursday morning. So as we get a look outside, some great shots there in Winona, Montgomery County, showcasing 46 degrees right now. Mostly blue skies, and that's been the great part about our forecast today, is that cloud cover did break up nicely and made way for some mostly clear conditions, letting those temperatures warm up as well into the upper 40s. So pretty comfortable forecast. Making 43 degrees, getting some clearing as well. I do want to say winds, not really a factor with this forecast. The wind is really what has made this forecast miserable this week, with temperatures in the upper 20s in some days. So whenever you have upper 20s and winds coming about 5 to 10 miles an hour, almost makes you not want to step outside. But I walked out the door today and it felt great, even though the temperatures were pretty much the same as what we got yesterday. So that's the difference wind can make, and still going to be calm overnight in Knoxville County for folks getting out and about there for any midweek church services, or if you're heading up north there towards Columbus for their Christmas parade. Itawamba County, busy on the roadways, but not really busy in the sky. A beautiful sky right there with some alto cumulus clouds showing up. And alto cumulus, really cool part of that feature is that it hints at the change in the weather pattern. So we're changing in the weather pattern, bringing in some moisture tomorrow. So a little bit of those features that you can look up and view, that'll show a change going forward in that forecast. Our temperatures sitting in the upper 30s out there out in the northwest part of our viewing area. 37 South Haven, 38 Clarksdale, 45 in Greenwood, 45 Louisville, and 40 there towards Boonville. But all of these temperatures starting to drop, expected to reach freezing about 9 or 10 o'clock this evening. So have those layers ready for any of those late night plans you may have. Our Mississippi Live Weather radar, apologies there, looking dry, looking clear, looking like a great forecast all across North Mississippi. A little bit of that cloud cover, still scattered in nature, so not covering that sky in its entirety, but it is going to be a good looking forecast for sure. As we expand things out, we can see that this driver in our forecast is still going to be this high pressure center, but that high pressure center is now out towards our east. So whenever we're talking about the positioning of the high, it really matters in our forecast, because drier conditions out on the east side of the high. The west side of the high, you start to get some of that moisture building in from the Gulf once again. So that is returning to the area right here in South and North Mississippi. And you're getting a few of those showers already popping up there towards East Texas and Southwest Louisiana. That, of course, building into the area and will make way for a rainier forecast overnight and for the start of our Thursday. But that front really going to be the driver when it comes to those rain chances. And we'll see that take place really getting into our Thursday afternoon. And we'll see that right here on Futurecast. So looking at Wednesday night, staying on the drier side for the most part, but that moisture building in even by 7:30. So fortunately for parades this evening, be glad you aren't in East Texas because they wouldn't be happening. But tonight we're dry, we're looking good to go for Nettleton and for Columbus. So those two parades going to be good to go and continue as planned. Now 10 o'clock, already getting some of those showers developing out there in Greenville, but that heaviest portion still out there towards Alexandria and Shreveport. As we push into those overnight hours, that moisture does move in, but this front almost blocking it in nature because it's keeping all the best chances down south around New Orleans, again, Shreveport, Alexandria, Hattiesburg, and continuing into those early AM hours of our Thursday. Now, don't get me wrong, we will have some heavy portions along and south of Highway 82, but those highest outputs still going to be around that Gulf Coast region, and that's by 8 AM on our Thursday. So if you think, well, there goes our chances, not exactly the case. We have more chances pushing in on the latter part of our Thursday, and those chances are starting to climb in confidence, and models really outputting that a little bit more significant rainfall in our forecast. So the next 24, isolated for the first half of the day, even continuing into those lunch hours, but by 3, 4, and 5 o'clock, those chances will start to build 30, 40% there by 3, 70% by 6, and 50% by 9. So yes, plans tomorrow evening may need to be taken indoors or rescheduled to accommodate for that rainfall. We'll be breaking that down county by county coming up here in the next 60. So keep it here at Mississippi Live Weather at 5 for the very latest. And we will walk through not just those rain chances tomorrow, but how that'll impact our parade forecast, how that'll impact our football forecast. And we have state championships all week long. We'll look at that coming up here in just a minute on Mississippi Live Weather, live from the Room to Room Weather Center.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger. A soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Enjoy your home for the holidays with store-wide savings at Room to Room. 50% off, 48-month special financing, and as our gift to you, a free accessory buyer's card. There's something here for everyone, including gift cards. Merry Christmas from Room to Room Tupelo.
Some people judge a book by its cover, and if you're not what people are looking for, you're kind of like a reject.
School, it feels like everyone's staring at me, and I'm just kind of not really a person.
It just feels hard today. Nobody was listening to me.
Try to understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
We mentioned that we had a couple of parades here in North Mississippi, one of those being down in Columbus. 43 degrees right now, but the big headline down there in Columbus is it's dry. 34-degree dew points means there's no moisture in the air, still a very dry pattern. So for folks that are heading out the door, and you can see there's a lot of them there on 45 and Highway 82, looking like a good forecast and hopefully a good parade as well. That's going to be happening at 7:30 tonight, so about 2.5 hours, but I know those floats already getting ready to go, and it should be a great time down there in Lowndes County. Tupelo, great shot there as well, looking southwest for a reason. It's down there towards Nettleton where we're going to be having our other parade here in North Mississippi. So if you're looking to head out the door and head down there, 39 degrees with a beautiful sky right there on the horizon. Just a great looking sky with several different colors. I mean, I just love Mississippi sunsets. There's nothing like them, but these cold temperatures, I mean, looking at them comes at a cost. So layer up as you head out the door and layer up as you head to those parades tonight. Our radar continues to remain calm, not tracking anything in the form of rainfall, so don't be expecting that in our forecast, in the immediate forecast, should I say. And satellite imagery does have a little bit of those clouds developing there towards the Tupelo area, really around Ripley and Benton County, and then a few of those developing out there towards West Helena and Marianna in Arkansas. If we expand things out, we can definitely see that this cloud cover is building further towards our southwest, out there towards Texas, and that's going to be that moisture that we're watching develop over the next couple of hours that will be pushing into South Mississippi and potentially even for portions of our viewing area as well. So, of course, we're keeping eyes on those clouds, but really on the rainfall that's coming with it. Water vapor imagery, still a mostly dry forecast, but we can see that we're bringing back that more soggy air, the saturated air, as we're going on the other end of that legend, and that's going to allow for that moisture to build setting the scene for our Thursday as well. So parade planner this evening looking good to go. That 5 o'clock hour, 38 degrees, 36 by 6 and 33 by 7. A few areas going to be slightly warmer than that, but nonetheless it's going to be dry even with those partly cloudy conditions. So definitely a good looking forecast. Hopefully you guys are able to get out there, but not going to be as cold as what we had yesterday. Watching Matt out in the field and Penny sipping on that hot chocolate, it's like that's the only means of survival whenever there's temperatures that cold. So prepare accordingly, have those layers, and if you can find the hot chocolate stand, might be your best friend as you head through tonight's parades. Futurecast heading it throughout your Wednesday evening, staying on the drier side once again. But again, this forecast is what's left of that high pressure center that continues to move out there towards our east. We're being left with a dry pattern, but moisture building out there towards our southwest that we saw just a few moments ago. As we build this out a little bit, you can see that moisture already starting to develop there on the southeast side of Texas, and watch how that just gradually moves northeast well into Louisiana and really building into southern Mississippi by the early AM hours of our Thursday. So waking up, heading out the door, if you know friends in Jackson, going to need that rain gear ready. But even over here on along Highway 82, you can see how some heavier portions develop around Grenada, around Eupora, and for folks, let me bring it back here. There we go. And for folks that live right along Highway 82 or even for portions south, you can see how that pushes in 2 a.m. So we should all be sleeping, but this is going to impact us even by our morning commute as all that moisture lingers in our forecast and actually builds as we get into that 5 o'clock hour. Early commuters going to need to have those windshield wipers on a couple settings, but as we get closer to those 6 and 7 o'clock hours, those rain chances continue to remain in place. Low temperatures for your Thursday going to be right around that freezing mark. That's where it'll be about 9 o'clock tonight too. So with all that moisture building into the area, doesn't exactly cool us off too much. It keeps those temperatures pretty consistent. So life could be worse. We'll take freezing, especially considering this morning we woke up in the 20s. So life could be worse for sure, but still layer up and prepare as we head out the door. Wind chill not going to be a factor with those calm winds coming out of the north. Still not going to be anything too major with our forecast to drop it a few degrees, should I say. Drop off right around freezing for sure. 20% chance of rainfall, but look at those chances by that last belt. 47 degrees, 30% chance of rainfall, and those chances extending a little bit more north than what those morning chances will be. Let's go ahead and track that out right here on Futurecast. So this cold front is what's pushing all this moisture further towards the south. But that's the initial round of moisture. We keep this Futurecast going, and you can see there's more back behind it that'll gradually build into the area by our Thursday afternoon. That, of course, developing out here towards Arkansas, light in nature, even having a few flakes out there in Fayetteville. Not going to be our forecast, and you'll see why here in just a moment. But by midday, a lot of those rain chances clear out on the southern end of town. Still a few light showers possible, but out along Highway 6 and for portions in Tupelo or Corinth or Boonville or even out there towards Oxford, looking like a good forecast for any of those lunch plans that we may have. But as we get further into our afternoon, yes, you see it right there behind me over Little Rock, lots of colors happening, and a lot of that's going to be rain, wintry mix, and even some snowfall as well. Temperatures out there much different than temperatures out here in North Mississippi. I'm going to try to get that temperature overlay for the 6 o'clock broadcast, and that'll really show you this picture that we're going to be dealing with. So stay tuned for that, and I'll work to get that together. But that'll really tell you the story that we're not expecting any snowfall or any wintry precipitation on our Thursday. My wife, she teaches middle school science, and she told me that a few of her kids came up asking, when's it going to snow? When's it going to snow? We're going to get snow tomorrow. No, we're not. And it's because they were checking a different app, not the Mississippi Live Weather app. And if you have the Mississippi Live Weather app, it would have told you that it's just going to be a cold rain. That's even by 3 o'clock. You can see as we bring it back in here to North Mississippi, some heavier portions out there towards Cleveland by 3, as well as Grenada by 3. And that pushes further into North Mississippi, basically encompassing the entire area. But this is a thing that we call stratiform rainfall, which means we don't have high storm tops, we don't have high cloud tops, and that's not going to develop into anything too major, too significant, and definitely not anything strong or severe. So that's going to be pretty uniform across the board, getting into that 5 and 6 o'clock hour. Now, don't get me wrong, we are close, but close doesn't cut it when it comes to snowfall. Right along that Memphis and Little Rock line, that's where for folks north of that line, going to be dealing with snowfall. The rest of us, just that moderate rainfall, and that continues into that 6 o'clock hour. So I know a lot of parades happening at 6 o'clock. If you haven't rescheduled, you may want to consider that. If you have rescheduled, be glad you did, because this is the picture that we're going to be dealing with by 6 o'clock on our Thursday. So yeah, definitely don't want to be in a parade at that point with the cold temperatures, with the rainfall. Yeah, not exactly a recipe for success. So Looking at high temperatures for Thursday, our normal highs in the upper 50s. Not anywhere close to that for our high temperatures Thursday. 49 in Houston, 47 Boonville, a few 50s popping up there towards Vernon, Columbus, and Amory. But out west, 44 in Cleveland and 44 in Clarksdale. It's going to be a cold one for sure all day long. So if you're heading out to any parades, we've been talking about you guys, but if you're heading out to Davis Wade Stadium down there in Starkville, Mississippi, you can see games are going to be cold and potentially rainy, depending on which game you are. Game 1 has Calhoun City, one of our local teams that's playing for that 1A state championship. And Game 2 having the West Point Green Wave getting their, I think it's 14th title, 14th win as well. Magic number, that's 14. And hopefully they're hoping to get that and bring it back home here to Titletown. You can see that Game 2. It's going to be a rough one. 90% chance of rainfall. Might be a little bit on the higher side, but I do expect that some moderate coverage and moderate rainfall going to be expected. But it's going to be a muddy game for sure if these do continue. Not expecting any lightning delays. It'll just be that rainfall that we have to worry about. I do want to say that we do have coverage of that coming up with our Will Kohlmeyer. We'll hear from him tonight at 10, breaking down the latest on those matchups and telling us what we need to look for and what we need to worry about for both matchups for both teams. So can't wait for that. So you guys need to tune in at the 10 o'clock hour. Thursday night stays with those rainy conditions, and that continues into 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. But a large patch of that moisture pushing out there towards Alabama, leaving us with a slightly drier forecast, subjectively speaking. As you can see, a little bit of a break in those rain chances pushing overnight and into the start of our Friday. You do see that some of that wintry mix does try to hint right there towards South Haven and working its way into Marshall County. Not believing that forecast either because temperatures, again, just too warm. And so a lot of that not going to make it to the surface, and we're not expecting any travel impacts when it comes to that forecast. So don't believe the other weather apps that might tell you a different story. No, we will keep you guys updated on the truth, and the truth is that it will just be a cold, cold rain. By noontime on Friday, staying with those dry conditions, but cloudy skies remain in place. That moisture going to linger in the forecast, but luckily not tracking any rainfall. So if you're heading out to the Tupelo Christmas Parade, I know we'll be there at 6 o'clock on Friday. Excited to get some coverage going on that and see some wonderful floats. Lots of Christmas lights, and I'm sure enjoy some wonderful hot chocolate. So if you're heading out there, come say hey to us. But if you don't have plans on Friday, maybe want to head up here to Tupelo. It should be a good time, along with several other Christmas parades around the area. That being said, a light shower, not an impossibility, but those becoming so light that it's not going to impact the vast majority of us. It's going to be a brief sprinkle here and there. So working into those overnight hours, you can see that clearing has already taken place as that front carries off a lot of that moisture and leaves us with high pressure. That should bring us those drier conditions as well as it remains right over the southern end of our state, a beautiful Magnolia state. So Saturday, looking at high temperatures, slightly better. I see a few more 50s popping up, 50 in Bruce, 50 in Macon, and 49 around Starkville, so another cold one down there in Davis Wade. 47 Boonville, 46 in Oxford, and 45 around Senatobia. As we look at that high school game of the week, because we have several games of the week here this week, being that it is state champ week. Game 1 going to be 46 degrees, the potential of a few pop-up showers. Again, not an impossibility, just not going to be expected to last too long or be overly significant. 44 by Game 2, and we're tracking 44 by that celebration time, bringing home those state titles. And of course, Kohlmeyer tracking the latest on those matchups as well. He'll be live throughout the week, or he'll be with us in studio throughout the week talking the latest on those matchups and previewing them for what you need to worry about and know heading into those matchups there in Davis Wade. Rain chances, still not an impossibility, but again, not going to be significant in coverage. Now, as we track that forecast in Atlanta, rainfall, it's all moving to the east. So being that it is going to be Saturday when the Alabama Crimson Tide takes on Georgia, 3 p.m., not an impossibility to be driving in some rainfall. So for our Crimson Tide fans, have that umbrella ready because walking to the stadium, going to be dealing with some rainfall. But luckily there in Atlanta, the stadium is a closed stadium, so not having to worry about any of that rain getting on the field. 7-day forecast. Best chance of rainfall going to be Thursday, Friday, 20%, and same thing for Saturday and Sunday. Not exactly high on those rain chances, but an occasional shower, not an impossibility. But that drier air really pushes in by next week. And you can see with dry air comes some cold temperatures back into the 20s for the start of Tuesday. But we do get to enjoy a pretty beautiful sky filled with sunshine. Of course, we'll be looking at that forecast and much more coming up here on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. If you have not done so already, make sure to download that Mississippi Live Weather app. It is free and available on iOS and Android. You can scan the QR code at the bottom left and right of your screen, and you'll be able to download that app today. And I'm talking to Boonville Middle School 7th grade that was saying it was going to snow tomorrow. I need you guys to download this app because it seems like you're getting the wrong information, and we want you guys to stay informed. Our next broadcast happening at 6 o'clock tonight. We talked about that, and of course, we hope that you guys join us. We'll be looking at that temperature breakdown with those rain chances and why we're not expecting any wintry precip. But by 10 p.m., we'll be looking at the latest on that forecast as well, the newest model runs, and hearing from Will Kohlmeyer on the in Kohlmeyer's Corner, talking about those matchups for your Thursday. We have Titletown, we have the Wildcats, and we'll hear for both of those schools coming up at 10. We can't wait to see you there. Until then, have a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see you back here at 6.
By the time you see the symptoms of lung cancer, it could be too late. Now there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early. If you smoked, get scanned.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete. But it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.